All right. Yesterday we finished our class by pointing out that Yehuda had a amazing advantage over Yosef, even though the Yehuda was was a nobody, and he was begging for Yosef to please release Benjamin that he had taken into prison, and he had no power whatsoever. And Yosef, on the other hand, he was exactly the opposite. He was the king. He was the king over everybody. But Yehuda had courage. Yehuda, who was a nobody, he approached Yosef in a way that it's a big doubt that if Yosef, if the situation was reversed, and Yosef, he was the nobody, and Yehuda was the king, if Yosef would have done the same thing, because Yehuda had to have a tremendous level of chutzpah and courage and self-assertiveness in order to defy the helplessness of the situation, and even to the point where it even threatened Yosef. You better give my brother back. So the Rebbe says, if so, that sort of explains what the how do you say, the transition of the whole thing, the process of reality that's going to be from Yosef being the king to Yehuda being the king. When is Yehuda going to be the king? Moshiach, that's talked about in the Haftorah. In the Haftorah of this week's Torah portion, is talking about how Yehuda becomes the king. And he's going to be the Mashiach, and he's from the time of David, and David will rule over the world forever. Why? It says because David, King David, what's wrong with Yosef? Yosef, he couldn't be the king. Why can't Mashiach come from Yosef? Because Yosef, it says, because Yehuda has this thing of humility. He has the thing of, how do you say, self-sacrifice. That's what we said before about the tokef, about the courage, the assertiveness of Yigash of Yehuda. This is according to what Yehuda thought, that Yosef, he was like the king of the whole world. This is before Yosef revealed himself to his brothers who he was. Even though they regained this assertiveness of Yehuda, there was no real difference because he didn't know that this was Yosef. So that when he was threatening Yosef, who was the king, he didn't really think that this was going to be any real results from this. But after Shinidgala, even though that after it was revealed that it was Yosef, the fact is kavar lo zekuka lechior letokef shel Yehuda kedei lifol v'yachazubo. You know that they should. Yeah. יש לי קול לשאול אם אתה רוצה. Okay, so what happens over here? Yehuda is now approaching Yosef. Yehuda is a nobody. Yosef has taken Benjamin and put him into prison. And Yehuda is going crazy. He's saying, wow, if I don't come back to my father Yaakov with Benjamin, then my father's going to go wild. His heart will be broken. It'll be terrible. So he approached Joseph with this tremendous power. Now, his power and his assertiveness meant absolutely nothing to Joseph. It meant absolutely nothing to Joseph. You're threatening the king. You have any idea who you're talking to? You're a nobody. What are you doing? As it came out, Joseph reveals that he's his brother. And so all of his requests of Yehuda did have an effect. But only because Joseph revealed that it was his brother. Meanwhile, Yehuda, if it wouldn't have been his brother, so Yehuda would have been left with nothing, right? Says the Rebbe, no, it's not so. He would have been left with his self-sacrifice. He was self-sacrificed for his brother. And even if it wouldn't have had any results, but that self-sacrifice in some way is worth the whole entire king and the kingdom and the kingship of Yosef. But only after it was revealed that it was Yosef that Yehuda was yelling at, then it had an effect on him. So it comes out that in any case, he didn't need this forcefulness. If it wasn't Yosef that he was yelling at, it wouldn't have helped the forcefulness. When he realized that it was Yosef, so it wasn't necessary, the forcefulness. He could have said, hey, you're my brother. I'm sorry, we threw you in a pit. Please let Benjamin go. But the force that he stood with this chutzpah, it wasn't necessary in any case. Exactly the opposite. But Pashtus, Higia Tokev, this power of Yachazu, etc., by means of Yosef. Even more, that all of the results that Yehuda got wasn't because of his yelling, it was because that Yosef was his brother. The Yosef said that God sent me in front of you in order to save the world. Yosef said, don't worry, I'm not mad at you. And the merit of Yosef, Paro said, the best part of the land of Israel, of Egypt, goes to the Jews. So if so, this assertiveness and this yelling and the bravery of Yehuda had no effect whatsoever, right? Had no effect whatsoever. If it hadn't been Yosef, it wouldn't have had any effect. Now that it is Yosef, it wasn't necessary. All the accomplishments that Yehuda got from this being assertive, they came because of Yosef was his brother and Yosef was the king, not because of his bravery and his self-sacrifice. Similarly, also have to understand in the Haftorah. In the Haftorah, it's from the prophet Ezekiel, and it says over there that in the future, King David is going to be the ruler. It says, Mekiv insists that the power of Yehuda was only temporary before it was revealed that it was Yosef. So what connection does that have to the Haftorah? It says, David, my servant David, he's going to be the king over them. Right? The Haftorah is talking about how King David is going to be the ruler over the world. King David is going to be the Moshiach. And King David, he's going to change the whole world for the better. Okay, but what's that got to do with our Torah portion? Why is that Haftorah connected to our Torah portion? Our Torah portion is talking about the opposite. That everything comes from Yosef, not from Yehuda. I don't know. Since the Yosef Atzadik, Yosef, he was the ruler over Egypt, like it was revealed. So Harized, behold, this was exactly the opposite of what the Haftorah is. And it's talking about how Yehuda is going to be the highest. And that David, his servant, is going to be the highest. So what's the Rebbe asking a question? The Haftorah of every Torah portion is something similar to the topic of the Torah portion. Our Torah portion is talking about that Yosef is everything. He's everything. And because Yosef happens to be the brother of Yehuda, so he gives them everything and he saves their lives and he gives them the best part. Yosef was everything. Right? The Haftorah is saying, no, if you compare Yosef to Yehuda, Yehuda is everything. Yehuda is going to be the boss. He's going to be the leader. So the Rebbe says, why put them together? Maybe just because both of them talk about Yehuda and Yosef. Maybe that's the only reason. So the Rebbe, there must be something deeper over here. But what could it possibly be? At first glance, the Torah portion is exactly the opposite of the Haftorah. The Torah portion is talking about how Yosef was everything. And if Yosef would not have been the king of Egypt and the brother of the tribes, the other 11 tribes, there wouldn't have been any results. There wouldn't have been any results. So Yosef was everything. Everything came from Yosef. And the Haftorah is saying exactly the opposite. The Yehuda, he's everything. That's a complete turnover. What connection have they got together? Says the Rebbe, I'll ask the question in another way. According to what's really the fact, that Yosef, he was the ruler of Egypt. Yosef Atzmo, then Yosef, he was the one that really showed the power of the Jewish people in the land of Israel. Azlo Zakukim, you didn't have to have a Yigash of Yehuda. Yosef, he was the leader. He was the power. He is the ideal Jew, Yosef. Mashiach should come from him. Yosef was the one that showed true leadership. All of Egypt, the worst place in the world, was ruled by Yosef. That's Mashiach. Why are we saying Moshiach has to come from Yehuda? Yehuda didn't do anything except for this thing of his bravery. But it was meaningless bravery. It didn't have really any effect. If Yosef wouldn't have been his brother, the bravery would have been like a leaf in the wind. It would have had no effect whatsoever. So the main thing in our Torah portion is Yosef. Yosef was everything. And suddenly in the Haftorah, which is supposed to have the same message, it says, no, Yehuda is going to be everything. It says the Rebbe like this. Because everything in the Torah are true, and they are eternal. And also, even the thought that might come in our mind, like we say over here, that Yehuda came and approached Yosef. And because of just the fact, his bravery that he approached, that's enough of a reason to make a Mashiach. Okay, it doesn't make any sense, but it must be somehow or other true. We must say that the power of Yehuda, the bravery of Yehuda, Vayigash of Yehuda, is not just a temporary thing. And it came out that it really, in fact, had no results. If it hadn't been Yosef that he was approaching, he wouldn't have gotten anything that he requested. No, somehow or other, good. The bravery did have an effect. Yehuda's bravery, his chutzpah, did have an effect. How? That somehow or other it caused something new, even compared to Yosef in that time. And specifically in this power can be the Yechazubo, that they got the best place in Egypt. And there was the whole success of the Jewish people in the beginning in Egypt, and that they got the best places in Egypt, and that they transformed Egypt totally. Somehow or other, this came from Yehuda, not from Yosef. This is Nasa. Also, this is a preparation for David, my servant. He will be a leader for them forever. How so? And there was this one little seemingly isolated and seemingly meaningless and unsuccessful approach of Yehuda to Yosef that he approached with this chutzpah. It didn't really have any results. There was no purpose, but that's the whole point. That's the whole point. That's why the whole Torah portion is called on the name of this. Why? It was an amazing thing that what Yehuda did, and that's what's going to bring Mashiach. Not all the greatness of Yosef and the wonderness and how Yosef was able to understand all the dreams and etc. That's wonderful. That's good. But that's not what's going to bring Mashiach. What's going to bring Mashiach is this little, who knows, half a minute episode where Yehuda came close to Yosef. He approached him without permission, and he said, "You better listen to me." Right? How so? Ishlom, we can understand this when it says Yehuda, that Yaakov sent Yehuda before him to Goshen. Livnot lo makom lahorot echli yashem bo. Okay, what's going on? Continuation of the story. This is going to be next week's Torah portion. Yehuda, Yosef reveals himself. I'm your brother. And Yosef says, go back to your father. Tell your father I'm still alive. And you can all come back here and you can live in Egypt. The whole rest of the world was desolate. There was no food anywhere. Come into Egypt. You'll be with me. I'm the king of Egypt. You get everything that you want. So it says that they went back to Yaakov and told him. And then Yaakov said to Yehuda, okay, you go there. We'll go there. We're going to go to Egypt. I'm very happy to hear Yosef is still alive and wonderful. And he said to Yehuda, you go to Egypt first. You go there first. It says, Yehuda shalach lefanav Yosef lehoros lefanav Goshen. Yehuda, Yaakov sent Yehuda to Yosef to learn how to live in Goshen. And it says that he established places of learning Torah. Lifnod lo makom lahoros echlit yashebo, to show how to settle in Egypt. Okay, what's this got to do with it? Listen. At first glance, Yosef, since Yosef, he was the leader of Egypt, and he was, according to the commandment of Paro, he gave the best of the land to Yaakov and his sons. So why did Yaakov have to send Yehuda in order to learn how to live there, how to dwell it? Ma muven shedavka tokef shel Yehuda b'kocho lifol zot. And what does it mean that because of the chutzpah of Yehuda that he approached Yosef earlier, is because of that, therefore Yaakov had the power to send Yehuda and to open up yeshivas, whatever it is. Why do you have to do that at all? Just look at the situation. What was there? Yosef was the king. The brothers came down. If Yehuda would have come groveling on the earth, please, I'm asking you a favor. Don't be hard with us. Please give us right. What do you have to come by? Yehuda. Yosef was powerful. He came to Yosef. It was not necessary. You would have come and asked very nicely, please have mercy on us. Give us our brother back. And then Yosef would have said, you know who I am? I'm your brother Yosef. Oh, then everything would have changed. Said the Rebbe, no, the main thing is that Yehuda was betokef. Yehuda was chutzpahdik. He approached Yosef. Okay, it was unnecessary. And it didn't have any results. So the Rebbe, yes, it did have results. Because of that, Yaakov sent Yehuda down to prepare the place. He says that was also not necessary. What did Yaakov have to send him down for? Yosef was the leader of Egypt. And if they would have just gone down and said, okay, we're here, what should we do? Yosef would have given the best place. They didn't have to send Yehuda down to scout it out. What says the Rebbe, Yeshlomo, we can say that the point is like this. The power of a Jew in this world and in the time of exile, all of the exiles that the Jewish people are called Egypt. It comes from two ways. Number one, the power of a Jew, only according to what's in his ability. Lefia klalim, according to the nature of the world. According to this, in the time of exile, in a measured way, a normal measured way. And like I told you the story yesterday, I think I told you the story, but I'll tell it to you again. And this will be today's story. Maybe I'll tell the story again. Anyway, that there was a candle lighting in the White House, and one of the big rabbis of Chabad was the one who lit, and George Bush was there. I think it was Bush. I don't think it was Carter. But George Bush was. And it was the fourth night of Hanukkah. They lifted him up on a big, whatever it is, a lift. You know, they had one of these things, lift, and they were standing there, and they gave the torch to President Bush. He would light the candles, or they would light them together. I don't know exactly how they did it, but they only lit 4. And Bush said, "Why 4?" He said, "Because it's the fourth night of Hanukkah." He said, "Well, we have all these candles. Why not light them all?" So he said, "Because our custom is that we light according to each day of the week." So he said, "But it's light. I want you to light all the candles." So we lit all the candles, all 8. And afterwards, he reported to the Rebbe, this big rabbi of Chabad, and the Rebbe said to him, "I expected more from you. I didn't expect you to cave in to the pressure of the president." Okay, now you can ask a question. I mean, it's not really a mitzvah to light these candles. It's just advertising. And advertising, the best way, what if Bush would have gotten mad or something like that on this? It would have wrecked the whole entire thing, right? So he did what Bush said to make a good impression. He said, listen, it's very good to make a good impression. It's very important. But you would have made a better impression if you would have showed that you were brave for Judaism. I maybe would have gotten mad, maybe, all these maybes. But the fact is, if you would have done what you're supposed to do, all those maybes would have evaporated into the air. A Jew has to be self-sacrificing. He says there's 2 ways to be self-sacrificing. One is to be self-sacrificing according to the laws of the country, which that's like in our story. They made a Hanukkah menorah, the White House. The recognition of Chabad, amazing, right? It's a great thing. So let's see what's going on over here. Oh. Making a great thing. That's an amazing thing. What popularity that there would be, and this opens up all sorts of new doors. And that's strong enough, isn't it? Says the Rebbe, yeah, it's sort of, but there's a better way. What is it? You're standing totally above all of the world, all of what the nations say, the non-Jews, how much more so from the exile? Exactly the opposite. You treat the exile in a powerful way, like Yehuda did, to the degree that you have the power to change even the laws of the country. The president says something, you do something. Says that's the way it's been up to now. But now with the lights of Hanukkah, we have to do what God says. We can say that the power of Yehuda, this was what gave the Jews ability not just to rule over in America on the non-Jews like Joseph did in the time of exile, according to the laws of the country, but in a way which is totally above this, like we're going to learn later on. In other words, one way is, wow, did you hear a Chabad Chassid became the president of the United States? That's really amazing. Of course, in his own private life, he's going to act the way that God wants him to, what he's going to do. But in the public life, that's one way of doing it. The other way of doing it is that a Chabad person became the president of the United States. The whole United States is going to change. The whole United States is going to go according to the 7 Noahide commandments. It's going to according to the Torah. Who's going to do a thing like that? But that's what Moshiach is going to do. And that power to change the whole world against what the world says, to defy the world and to change the world for the benefit of the world, that was taken from Yehuda's approaching Yosef without permission. That's why Mashiach is going to come from Yehuda and not from Yosef, because he's going to have this, I want to call it chutzpah of holiness, that he's, in order to benefit the whole world, you'll have to first of all defy the whole world. And that's what Yehuda did. And that power of defiance, that's what's going to bring Mashiach. That's why the Haftorah is talking about Yehuda is the highest. And we'll stop the class today. God willing, tomorrow we'll continue. My batteries have run out. I was considering not giving the class today because I didn't feel good. But here we go. Ready? I feel better now. Let's go to this. What did I do? Screen sharing. Okay. There we go.